The galactic station buzzed with activity as the alien delegation arrived, their shimmering robes reflecting the sterile light of the conference hall. The air carried an undercurrent of arrogance, emanating from the various species gathered. Among them stood General Zarn, a tall, reptilian figure whose crystalline armor glimmered with self-importance. His species, the Valraxians, were renowned for their technological superiority, and his sneer as he glanced at the humans made his opinion clear. Across from him, Captain Rhodes stood stoic, dressed in Earth's standard military uniform. Unlike the polished elegance of the aliens, Rhodes exuded a rugged practicality. He placed a sleek revolver on the table between them, its metallic frame gleaming. Zarn leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. This is what humanity calls a weapon? Primitive. Obsolete. Laughable. The assembled aliens erupted in laughter, their voices a discordant mix of clicks, growls, and melodic tones. Tavares, a lithe, insectoid scientist, tilted her head, her multifaceted eyes glinting with curiosity rather than derision. Rhodes remained unflinching. It's a revolver. Fires a projectile at high velocity using a chemical explosion. Zarn scoffed, gesturing dismissively. Our energy weapons render such relics irrelevant. This is nothing more than a toy. A human technician stepped forward, demonstrating the revolver's mechanics with calm precision. The aliens watched with varying degrees of interest, Zarn with disdain, Tavares with fascination. When the technician fired at a practice target, the sound of the shot echoed sharply, startling some of the delegates. The bullet hit dead center, the target's surface splintering. Impressive accuracy, Tavares remarked, her voice a series of soft chirps. But surely energy-based weaponry is more efficient. Rhodes folded his arms. Energy shields are designed to deflect energy-based attacks. Ballistic weapons operate differently. They don't dissipate energy, they deliver kinetic force. Zarn snorted. Kinetic force? Against modern defenses? Ridiculous. Before Rhodes could respond, a holographic alert filled the room, its crimson glow casting eerie shadows. The station's AI announced, Alert. Zorvok forces detected near Outpost 19. Hostile activity imminent. The room fell silent as tension rippled through the crowd. The Zorvoks were infamous, relentless, hive-minded species whose adaptive shields had rendered even the most advanced weapons ineffective. Zarn turned to his aide. Deploy the fleet. We'll crush them. The aide hesitated. General, our energy weapons have proven ineffective against their adaptive shielding. Zarn's jaw tightened, his confidence wavering for the first time. Tavares interjected. Perhaps the humans' unconventional methods warrant consideration. Rhodes stepped forward. Give us a chance. Let us deploy our weapons alongside yours. What do you have to lose? Zarn bristled but nodded begrudgingly.
Fine.
Prove your point. But when you fail, I'll see to it that humanity's membership in the Galactic Union is reconsidered. The room erupted into motion. Soldiers and scientists scrambled as preparations for the joint operation began. Tavares approached Rhodes, her tone measured. You're confident your weapons will succeed where ours have failed? Rhodes smirked. We're not here to impress. We're here to survive. Tavares studied him, her mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Fascinating. Your kind's resilience is unique. As the humans armed themselves, the aliens watched with skepticism. Zarn observed a human soldier loading bullets into a rifle and muttered, "This is a waste of time." Rhodes, overhearing, turned to him. Underestimating us might be your biggest mistake. The stage was set, the tension palpable. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what it meant to fight with heart, determination, and a revolver that could, in the right hands, change everything. The air in the makeshift war room was heavy with tension. Holographic displays projected the approaching Zorvok fleet, their ships moving with a predatory grace. The alien delegates murmured among themselves, their voices a mix of skepticism and unease. Captain Rhodes stood at the center, directing his team. Beside him, Tavares observed the humans' preparations, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the bustling activity. The aliens had reluctantly granted the humans access to the outpost's defensive operations, but their doubts lingered. Rhodes addressed the assembled soldiers and delegates, his voice steady. The Zorvok's adaptive shielding renders energy-based attacks useless. But their technology has a blind spot: physical projectiles. That's where we come in. Zarn crossed his arms, his expression hard. You're betting the survival of this outpost on outdated weapons. If you fail, it won't just be your reputation at stake. It'll be all our lives. Rhodes didn't flinch. We'll succeed. But we'll need cooperation. Human soldiers equipped themselves with ballistic weapons, from revolvers to rifles. Their movements were precise, confident, a stark contrast to the hesitant curiosity of the alien observers. Tavares leaned closer to one of the weapons, her mandibles clicking. This mechanism, she said, gesturing to a soldier's rifle, is remarkably simple. Yet it bypasses energy defenses. Rhodes nodded. It's not about complexity. It's about exploiting vulnerabilities. The first wave of Zorvok drones breached the perimeter. Energy weapons fired from alien defenders, but the bolts dissipated harmlessly against the drone's shields. The aliens began to panic, their formations faltering. Hold the line, Rhodes barked, signaling his team. Human snipers took their positions, their rifles trained on the incoming drones. The sharp crack of gunfire echoed across the battlefield as bullets tore through the drones' shields, ripping into their metallic frames. One by one, the drones fell, their once impenetrable defenses rendered useless. The alien forces paused, their disbelief palpable. Zarn's eyes widened as he watched a squad of human soldiers mow down a group of advancing Zorvoks with precision fire. This shouldn't be possible, he muttered. Tavares, however, was captivated. She hurried to a fallen drone, examining its shattered shield. Their adaptive fields are designed to counter energy frequencies. Kinetic impacts bypass the energy matrix entirely. Ingenious. Rhodes stepped beside her, reloading his weapon. It's not just the weapons. It's the strategy. Adaptability beats over-reliance on tech every time. The second wave arrived, larger and more aggressive. The Zorvoks unleashed their ground troops, hulking, insectoid creatures whose armor shimmered with reactive energy fields. The aliens hesitated, their confidence shaken by the failure of their weapons. Your turn, Rhodes said, motioning to his team. Human soldiers engaged the ground forces with guerrilla tactics, laying traps and using the terrain to their advantage. Explosive charges took down clusters of Zorvoks, while well-placed sniper shots pierced their armor. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the humans turned the tide of the battle. Zarn clenched his fists, his pride visibly wounded. They're using nothing more than scraps of metal and chemicals, and it's working. Tavares turned to him, her tone measured. Perhaps there's more to humanity than we assumed. As the Zorvoks began to adapt, Rhodes called for a retreat to regroup. They're learning. We'll need to adjust our tactics. Zarn sneered. So even your primitive methods have limits. Rhodes shot him a cold glance. The difference is, we know how to adapt faster than they do. Tavares approached Rhodes, a glint of admiration in her eyes. You've managed to do what the rest of us could not. Perhaps simplicity is a strength, not a weakness. Rhodes reloaded his revolver, the metallic click echoing through the tense air. We're just getting started. The Zorvok forces descended in full strength, their war cries reverberating across the battlefield. Their adaptive shields shimmered, creating an impenetrable wall of energy that deflected every alien energy weapon fired at them. Panic spread among the alien ranks, their confidence crumbling under the relentless assault. Captain Rhodes, unfazed, directed his team with precision. Hold steady. Focus fire on their flanks. Snipers, prioritize the drones. Ground units, prepare for close-quarters combat. The humans moved with practiced efficiency, their rifles and revolvers roaring in defiance. Bullets tore through the Zorvok shields, striking their targets with deadly accuracy. The aliens, who had dismissed these weapons as crude, could only watch in awe as the humans dismantled the Zorvok vanguard. Zarn clenched his fists, as he observed the battle from the command post. "They're holding them off with sheer luck," he muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. Tavares, standing beside him, shook her head. "Not luck. Strategy. Adaptation. They're exploiting weaknesses we refuse to see." On the battlefield, Rhodes spotted a cluster of Zorvoks regrouping, their adaptive shields shifting frequencies. He signaled a team of soldiers, who quickly set up explosive charges. The blast shattered the shields, leaving the Zorvoks vulnerable. The humans moved in swiftly, neutralizing the threat before it could recover. "This isn't just about weapons," Tavares said, her tone filled with newfound respect. "They're using tactics tailored to the enemy's strengths and weaknesses. It's a level of ingenuity we lack." Zarn scowled but said nothing, his pride visibly eroding with each passing moment. The Zorvoks, recognizing the humans as the primary threat, shifted their focus. A massive wave of drones and ground troops advanced toward the human positions. Rhodes anticipated the move and adjusted his strategy. "Fall back to the choke points," he ordered. "Force them into narrow corridors where their numbers mean nothing." The humans retreated strategically, luring the Zorvoks into traps. In the confined spaces, the humans' close-range weapons proved devastating. Revolvers and shotguns echoed through the corridors, the kinetic force overwhelming the Zorvoks' adaptive armor. Despite their initial success, the Zorvoks continued to adapt, their tactics evolving with alarming speed. Rhodes knew they couldn't sustain this for long. He turned to Tavares, who had been analyzing the battlefield with sharp focus. "We need an edge," he said. "Something they won't see coming?" Tavares nodded, her mandibles clicking in thought. "Their shields can't handle simultaneous impacts from different vectors. If we coordinate a combined assault, ballistic and energy weapons, we might overload their defenses." Rhodes grinned. "Now you're thinking like us." He relayed the plan to the alien commanders, who hesitated but ultimately agreed. For the first time, humans and aliens fought side by side, their weapons complementing each other. Ballistic projectiles disrupted the shields, creating openings for energy weapons to strike. The tide began to turn. The Zorvoks faltered under the relentless assault, their once unbeatable defenses failing. Zarn, watching from the command post, finally acknowledged the truth. "They're doing it," he said quietly. "They're actually winning." The final push came as the humans led a coordinated assault on the Zorvoks command unit. Rhodes himself took the lead, his revolver in hand. Each shot was precise, deliberate, and devastating. The Zorvok leader fell, its shield shattering under the combined firepower of humans and aliens. The battlefield fell silent as the remaining Zorvoks retreated. Cheers erupted from the alien ranks, their disbelief giving way to admiration. Rhodes holstered his revolver, his expression calm despite the victory. Tavares approached him, her voice filled with genuine respect. "You've proven what I suspected all along. Simplicity, combined with adaptability, is a force no technology can overcome." Rhodes glanced at Zarn, who reluctantly nodded. "Perhaps there's more to humanity than we gave credit for."
Rhodes smirked.
"Glad you're finally catching on." The aftermath of the battle left the once chaotic battlefield eerily quiet. Smoke rose from shattered Zorvok drones, and the air smelled of burnt metal and scorched earth. The alien delegates surveyed the scene with a mix of relief and astonishment, their disbelief at the human success still lingering. Captain Rhodes stood among his soldiers, his uniform smeared with dirt and grime. The revolver in his hand still gleamed, its barrel warm from the heat of battle. Around him, human soldiers regrouped, their movements efficient despite the exhaustion etched on their faces. Tavares approached Rhodes, her mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "Your tactics, your weapons, they defied all logic, all assumptions. And yet, here we stand, victorious. Tell me, Captain, is this resourcefulness typical of your kind?" Rhodes gave a small, tired smile. "It's not about the tools. It's about the will to survive, the ability to adapt, and the refusal to back down when the odds are stacked against us." Zarn, who had been silent since the battle ended, finally stepped forward. His expression was conflicted, pride wounded, but grudging respect evident. You've proven me wrong, human. Your crude weapons and primitive methods have achieved what our advanced technology could not. Rhodes raised an eyebrow. Maybe it's time you stop measuring strength by technology alone. Tavares turned to Zarn, her tone sharp. The lesson here is clear, General. Humanity's approach, combining ingenuity with simplicity, exposed weaknesses we've ignored for too long. Their so-called primitive tools succeeded because they think beyond the limitations of our systems. Zarn inclined his head, though the gesture was reluctant. I underestimated you. I won't make that mistake again. The remaining alien delegates gathered around Rhodes, their previous skepticism replaced with cautious admiration. One of them, a tall, aquatic being with bioluminescent skin, addressed the human captain. Your victory here was no accident. Humanity has shown it brings something unique to the Galactic Union. Perhaps there's value in embracing perspectives different from our own. Rhodes met the alien's gaze. We didn't come here to prove anything. We came here to survive. If that helps you see things differently, then maybe this alliance has a chance after all. As the wounded were tended to and the battlefield cleared, Rhodes's soldiers began sharing their tactics and weapon designs with the alien forces. Tavares eagerly absorbed the information, her curiosity boundless. This mechanism, she said, examining a bullet, it's deceptively simple yet devastatingly effective. Imagine what could be achieved if we combine this with our technology. Rhodes nodded. That's the idea. It's not about abandoning what you know. It's about learning to adapt, to innovate. Zarn, watching from a distance, finally approached Rhodes. His voice was quieter than before, almost introspective. You've shown me the flaws in our arrogance. Perhaps there's more to learn from your kind than I realized. Rhodes extended a hand, his gesture one of mutual respect. We all have something to learn, General. This was just the first lesson. Zarn hesitated, then clasped Rhodes's hand firmly. The gesture was symbolic, a bridge between two worlds that had been divided by misunderstanding and prejudice. As the humans and aliens began to work together in earnest, the mood shifted from tense cooperation to genuine collaboration. Soldiers from both sides shared stories, their camaraderie growing with each passing moment. Tavares, standing beside Rhodes, observed the scene with a sense of hope. Perhaps this battle was more than a victory against the Zorvoks. It might just be the beginning of something greater. Rhodes looked out at the horizon, where the first light of dawn broke through the darkness. It's always darkest before the dawn. But if we can fight together, there's nothing we can't overcome. And so, amidst the ruins of war, a new alliance was forged, not through advanced technology or overwhelming force, but through resilience, adaptability, and the unyielding spirit of humanity.